This segment from the NERO Show recently kind of got stuck in my craw.
What is the CAAD13, by the way?
It's a big hunk of alloy crap. We're not in a position, we're not building crit bikes. We're not building alloy crit bikes. But my argument is that the actual bike won't be as good and you'll ultimately end up on a carbon bike anyway.
So I want to talk a second specifically about the CAAD13, and then I'm going to talk a little bit about alloy in general. It's not that I think this is the end-all be-all aluminum bike. It's that I think aluminum bikes are still a really viable, good option in 2025. The CAAD13 is not quote-unquote a piece of crap. I can say this because I'm riding one right now. I've been racing on it for 3 years. If you don't know who I am, I'm Jonathan Crane. I'm a amateur bike racer striving to race at as high of a level as I possibly can. And over the last few years with my team, Skyway Racing, been able to make some big strides and step up to the Cat 1 level. I've done that on the CAAD13. I just don't get where you could call this bike crap if you've actually ridden one, because I have mine built up to about 16.5 pounds with pedals, which is really light by today's standards. And I know that's not the cool thing anymore. No one cares about bike weight. So the other thing is that these tube profiles are exactly the same tube profiles NGO as a Super 6, which aerodynamically tests pretty fast. The third bullet point, I guess, that you could strike against it is comfort. I think in the modern era, we're all running bigger tires, lower pressures. The comfort argument against aluminum is not as strong because your tires are absorbing so much more of the impact. Admittedly, the CAAD13 is a little bit of an odd bird. Compared to previous CAD models, Cannondale gave it more aero features, but then made the geometry a little bit more upright. I feel like they didn't really know how to market it. But I actually think, despite the fact that there are a few good options that are more budget friendly, I think race capable, maybe if not race ready out the box, race ready options in aluminum, I think there's actually room for a lot more in this segment. There's a reason your Allez is overpriced as a meme. A lot of people want a race ready aluminum bike. Or even if they don't want aluminum per se, the Allez checks a lot of boxes. It's pretty aero bike that's not going to break their wallet and it's going to be durable. I think a lot of people are looking for that. Another point they make in that NERO Show episode is that everybody who's buying a bike like this, bike like a CAAD13, should actually just be doing a Trace Velo or a China cycling style, piece it together from AliExpress stuff. And I'm all for that route. I think that's really cool. I got some weird Chinese stuff on this build. These wheels, for instance. I think that's a good way to go, but a lot of people want something that will just work out of the box and something they can take to their local shop. So I bought this as a complete, I believe it's a 2020 model. A guy who's a mountain biker bought it from our local shop, decided he didn't want to race road, didn't want to ride road, sold it to me on the cheap. I bought it basically bone stock, almost brand new from him, and then just upgraded things one by one. So when I bought it, it was kind of a dog of a bike. Heavy, not particularly fast, but a few little upgrades here and there. Really my only big investment was the crankset. And let me know, would you guys be interested? Can do a full run through of this bike, how I got it down to that weight. Probably, I would guess, under 3K total in the bike, around 16 pounds. And I really feel like performance-wise, this bike has not held me back at all. Which I guess brings me to the last thing here, which is that my next race bike will be aluminum. Our team sort of seeked this sponsor out because they make aluminum race-oriented bikes, which is such a rarity. But I'm excited to upgrade because this CAAD13 I'm on is rim brake. This will be a disc bike. I would say like 90% of the year, I really like being on the rim brake bike. It's normally a couple of races or a couple of moments where it's maybe rainy or a hairy downhill that I think, wish I had a bigger tire, like a 28, 30 millimeter, and I wish I had some disc brakes, because the carbon rim brakes, they're okay in most circumstances, but a big alpine descent in Majorca doesn't feel great. Kind of worried about that heat building up. So I'm excited for this new bike. I'm excited for this aluminum bike. And it's not that I'm against carbon. I have carbon bikes too. I like carbon bikes. I just don't think it's necessarily for everyone. On the China thing, if you watch those videos from Trace Velo, so often they include him like getting out a Dremel to make something bigger. Something doesn't quite fit and he's having to like jimmy or shim or fix it in some way. And I think a lot of people, especially a lot of like high level racers, people who are trying to race, you know, amateur at a high level. So probably got a full-time job on top of 10 to 15 hours of training a week. Just don't have the time and energy to be faffing with that. And for those people, I think that I would actually like to see more bikes that can be race bikes, more aluminum bikes that are race capable. I think through the pandemic, all the bike companies, you know, there's shortage of everything. So people were buying whatever was available. I think what bike companies found through that was they could sell whatever they put on the shelf. So they sold a lot of really expensive stuff to people who didn't necessarily want to buy that, but it was the option. And I think they got the wrong message, which was, we can just make everything more expensive, people will buy it. And now that demand has waned and stock has bulged, I think we're back to a point where those budget options are going to be, or not even budget, those more cost-effective middle, an aluminum bike with a good like Ultegra level group set and carbon wheels, sort of lower middle class bike is going to be more sought after, I think. And the Chinese companies are coming and they're making a lot of great stuff, but until your local shop is stocking them and working on them, I think that's going to be a barrier for a lot of people. Not everybody, but a lot of people, especially beginners. And I get a lot of people on this channel who say, hey, I've been riding for 6 months. I want to start doing races, you know, looking for advice. Those people are not going to go buy a Tavelo, I don't think. And if they do, they're going to have a hell of a time getting it together. Anyway, guess subscribe to the channel if you want to see what my new bike is, what the build is, and follow along for this season. I'm out here trying to put in some miles, put in some hours in this off season. Hopefully come into 25 strong. Yeah, Jonathan Crane, thanks for hanging out. See you later.